This is the Altitude Daily Podcast. Everything you can't miss from today on Altitude Sports Radio. Mosher, Lombardi, and Kane.
All right, Chuck, I texted you this morning because I know you haven't been at work, but you heard the news yesterday. Not only did the Nuggets dismiss Michael Malone, they dismissed their GM, Calvin Booth. 3 games left. What was your instant reaction? And now that you've had some time to chew on it, what do you think?
Well, first of all, your ass texted me last night.
I forgot. Sorry.
No, and I didn't text you back last night because it was too late. I was just flying back from San Antonio. Well, number one, I was shocked. I was shocked, number one, he got fired. I like Mike Malone as a coach. But I was shocked for 2 reasons. Number one, 3 games to go in the rest of the regular season. But I think number one, because he had done a really good job. I know they have been struggling. I didn't watch any NBA games really for the last 3 weeks. I didn't know they had been struggling so much, to be honest with you. I think they're like 11-18 since the All-Star break.
11-13,
which surprised me. But this late in the season, I was shocked. But I don't know what happened. But what I think happened was the owners, it clearly was something going on between Kevin and Mike. And I think, like I say, this is just me guessing from a distance. Yeah. The owner said, I'm not going to choose. I'm going to get rid of both of y'all. Because that's what it seems like, me guessing from all my years in the NBA, which is like 40. They're like, okay, you guys can't get along. If I fire one of you, the other ones, they're like, oh, I chose the coach or I chose the general manager. I got the best player in the world. He's the only one I really care about. You two guys are, as long as I got him. So that's just what I'm thinking from a distance. Like I say, I haven't talked to anybody. I've always liked Mike, and I thought Kevin has done a really good job. I do think they should have made some trades or kept some players the last couple of years, because when you got Joker, they let KCP go, they let Brown go, and they really haven't replaced those 2 guys, in my opinion. But I've been reading some things about, y'all decide to go the cheaper route. So it's a lot of stuff going on. There's going to be a lot of stuff come out.
The Altitude Daily, the morning sprint.
The main meat of that dish is what the contract forbids you from doing. And signing Mikko Rantanen to an 8-year, $12.5 million deal would have continued to make you the most top-heavy team in the league. Would have failed to give you the opportunity to have a guy like Charlie Coyle, Brock Nelson, to move on from both of your netminders and get Scott Wedgwood and Mackenzie Blackwood here. Signing him to that deal preemptively would have made sure that none of those deals had the ability to happen. I didn't even mention Marty Necas or Jack Drury. Now with the Nuggets, they preemptively made the deal when they didn't have to. The Avs took it into the season. They took that expiring contract into the season and say, hey, let's see how this plays out. And if you're a 120-point scorer and you score 55 goals, we'll re-sign you like that, because that probably means that we're right back in the conversation to winning a cup, because the top guys can just carry.
Which sport has more leverage?
And what happened this year, the NBA does. What happened this year with the Avalanche is that they saw during the season, 1, we're not going to come to terms with this player, and 2, we can't have our top guys carry this team through what the Western Conference looks like now as compared to what it did 2 years ago. And the Nuggets front office made what I think is a fatal decision with this roster by re-signing Jamal Murray, because it tied your hands behind your back. You were not allowed to trade that contract this year. You were allowed to trade one guy, essentially, at the trade deadline this season. That was Michael Porter Jr., and you couldn't find a taker because you had to move out the Zeke Naji contract as well. That was the main mistake What's the big issue with the Nuggets? They don't have enough role players that play good enough defense. They don't have a bench that can handle the non-Nikola Jokic, the non-starter minutes. And the reason why you don't have it is because you preemptively signed Jamal Murray to a contract extension that you didn't need to do. And what I think that Josh looked at yesterday is, look at what my GM and my front office did with the Avalanche. Yes, it's a different landscape. I understand that. It's a different CBA with the NHL as compared to the NBA, but he sees what the roommates did for hockey that he owns and went, we're going to change something else. And that's why I always say, and this will be my term, zoom out. There's big changes happening in the offseason. This is not just about salvaging this year. And that's where I think Paul Pierce is very much off base.
The timing was about salvaging this year.
Yes.
It has to be.
Sure, I'll give you that.
Because you wouldn't fire...
The grander scheme is not just about this year.
The Altitude Daily. Columbus, Hastings, and DMAC.
To grab a snack, some nuts, and looked up in the section in front of us, which coach, and it was blacked out. And there, you can see the glow of some screens of coaches watching some film. But I think they were worn out from the news. I'm understanding they had a shoot around. Everything transpired around 10 o'clock, 10:30. Team was, didn't start their meetings or anything until about 11. So I think that the meetings with Booth and Michael Malone happened before that. They were all in the building and were called up into offices, I understand. But I think it was pretty emotional.
Hold on, let me back up.
Let
me back up from that. Let me walk you through that a little bit. So the team with Booth and Malone were gathered for a workout around 10 a.m. Is that what you understand? Something like that?
But I think 10, between 10 and 11, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's they were there to watch film and whatever.
Okay, and then at some point, Booth and Malone were both called up together or individually?
I don't know that they were called up together. I don't know which one was up. I was told Coach Malone was called up from down in his office to upstairs, and that's when that conversation had, as I understand. I don't know if he was allowed to go back and say anything to the team. I think then Josh, I know for sure, did go down and address the team after that.
So the team is where, in the locker room at this time, or are they in the gym?
Yeah, they're kind of hanging out in the locker. Probably both. Probably hanging out, just waiting.
Okay, so you're not sure whether Malone addressed him or not. Probably not Booth, but you think that Josh did go down and talk to the team, and that's where they found out.
I believe Josh did kind of go down and talk to the team.
Now
if you believe one of the reports I read,
right,
that actually a conversation was had with Joker,
right,
about 30 minutes prior to them talking with the team.
Do you believe that to be true?
Yeah,
you do. Okay. Yeah. Just trying to get the chronology right here. So the team finds out this all happens, and then it's like, now we're going to the airport, right? And that's
basically the plane. We were about 45 minutes. We had to be at boarding at 1:30, which I got there to board at 1:30, and we're supposed to take off by 2, and I think we ended up taking off at 2:40.
Okay.
So as I understand, the meeting lasted a little longer. I think they got there at 10. I think that's when Malone kind of went in the office. I think Josh. If I were doing my own timeline, and don't put money on this in Vegas, around 10 o'clock, coach and the management talked. Around 10:30, Joker and management talked. Around 11 o'clock, the team and management talked.
Okay.
If I were to, in rough estimation, if I were to be a betting man, I would think that would be one of the areas of chronological rightness.
The Altitude Daily. Kretman and Lindahl.
I don't believe there's a quick fix in store for this team. I think there's going to have to be a process that they're going to have to go through to get this roster back in a place to surround Nikola Jokic with the kind of team that he needs to be able to go and compete for an NBA championship. As we know, Nikola Jokic has never had an all-star teammate, Andy. He is the only player in NBA history to have ever won 3 NBA championships, to have never played along another Hall of Famer. I suppose Westbrook is going to be in there, but that's a reach to say that he's playing with the Hall of Fame version of Russell Westbrook.
He didn't get that version.
Exactly. This isn't 2017 Westbrook. This is 2025 Westbrook. That's a very different player. you have to maximize the window of an all-time great. I think the decision that Josh and Stan Kroenke made yesterday was in service of that idea. You have to maximize the window of an all-time great, but kind of given the missteps with the roster in recent years and with the payroll and everything else, it's going to be tough for the Nuggets to be able to do that or to be able to do it very quickly. In other words, it's hard to see a world where the Nuggets are contending next year. So, what is Nikola Jokic's patience level going to be with the retooling of everything around him?
Well, it's interesting, Nate. Look, I've been told by anybody I can that's close enough to the guy that he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen all the stories. It seems like what I do laugh about over the last 24 hours is everybody, you don't talk a lot about Nikola Jokic, but the minute his coach get fired, everybody's like, get him out of there. Get him out. Let's bring him to the Lakers. Let's bring him here. Let's bring him there.
I mean, the Nuggets are they're the center of the NBA universe
they are
right now
because of that.
Yeah.
I've asked Scotty. Scotty's assured me he's not upset. He'll be fine with this.
Yeah.
But look, to your point, it's hard, Nate. I don't think that I would say next year he's going to want out of this thing. I don't know if in 2 years he'll want out of this thing, but you talked about it. When the contract is up, what's happening? I'm not going to be disingenuous. It's always in the back of your mind. But before the firings, beginning of the week, there was a part of me, after watching him complain to Chanchar and Saric on the bench and, pointing to the key and seemingly expressing frustrations about the strategy, there is a part of me going, is he going to want to keep doing this in a couple? Now, I always thought he would retire and go back to Serbia. I don't think you're in the boat with me there. But, yeah, I do let my mind wander at some point. If you've got to get this right. You got to get this coaching hire right and this GM hire right.
I think in so many ways Nikola Jokic is wired differently, and that's a part of his greatness. And I think it's a part of why he's so beloved here in Denver. But also, there are certain things that are just truisms about every great athlete, and one of them is they want to win.
You've been listening to The Altitude Daily. Catch us live weekdays on 92.5 FM, the Altitude Sports Radio app, twitch.tv/AltitudeSR, youtube.com @Altitude Sports Radio, and your favorite smart speaker. Say Altitude Sports Radio.